All right, welcome back. Now, on our next story, you may recall that coming very soon, or at least coming very soon as I am recording this, we are going to have Mufasa the Lion King coming to the big screen, which will be the next new addition to Disney's lineup of their live action remakes. Even though technically this doesn't necessarily count as a live action remake per se, it's more like a follow-up to one of their live action remakes, but it still counts as part of their canon. And it does serve as a reminder that coming next year, we're going to get a whole bunch of those kinds of remakes, where Disney will be releasing their Snow White remake and the Lilo and Stitch remake, and then Universal will be stepping in with their live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon. But now it looks like there's going to be yet another live action remake that we will be adding to the list of ones that are coming soon. And surprisingly enough, it's actually going to be one of Disney's more recent movies. Yes, folks, I am sorry to say, but it looks like we are going to be getting a Tangled live action remake. Yes, it is revealed by Deadline that apparently at Disney, they are currently at work in order to go and turn Tangled, their 2010 animated movie, into another live action remake. And so far, things are still very early in development. So we don't necessarily have a lot of confirmation on how things are going to be with this movie in particular. But what we do know are some of the main players who will be working on this movie. And the main one that you see right over here is that currently Disney is in talks with Michael Gracie, who you may know as the director of The Greatest Showman, might possibly also be the director of this live action remake. Now, there is no confirmation as of yet, but so far, we'll wait and see with how these talks will go. However, it is noted that on top of possibly getting a new director, the movie already has a writer and a couple of producers. So just reading from my source here on Deadline, it says here, Jennifer Caden Robinson, the multi-hyphenate behind titles like Do Revenge, Thor Love and Thunder, and Sony's upcoming reboot of I Know What You Did Last Summer, penned the most recent draft of the script. Kristen Burr will produce for Burr Productions, along with Emmy-winning producer Lucy Kittada of The Babysitters Club. No word yet on the casting. And so far, that is all that we know. It's the fact that there is going to be apparently a Tangled live action remake, and that we might get the director of The Greatest Showman to go and work on this. I gotta say that right now, this is a pretty dark omen of what's to come with these Disney live action remakes. And when that thing was announced, of course, I was definitely not excited to hear about this. Like, oh God, now Disney is really going to be going towards the more recent animated films to go and turn into a live action remake. Because you look back you got to look back to what are the remaining animated films Disney has yet to go and turn into a remake. And you'd be surprised that Disney has already knocked down like a whole bunch. Like when you look at the Disney Renaissance era of their animated films, they've already went through half of them so far. And all the major ones like The Little Mermaid, The Lion King, Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast, that's already been done. Now there is the other half where they might do some of those others, like with there's Hercules and possibly The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And we don't have any word yet if they're going to do anything with like Pocahontas or Tarzan. Although I would honestly be very shocked if they would do one of The Rescuers or The Rescuers Down Under. But then there is also the classics from the era that Walt Disney himself would go and produce. You know, like from the golden age, like his first movies, like with Snow White, Pinocchio, Fantasia, and stuff like that. And then the ones from like the 1950s on, and the 1950s and the 1960s. Like you've already gotten like The Jungle Book, 101 Dalmatians, Sleeping Beauty, Lady and the Tramp, Cinderella, Peter Pan. Technically, Alice in Wonderland has already been covered. You know, like a lot of those, like the ones that Walt Disney himself produced, those were already done. And now with the Disney Renaissance becoming dry, now Disney is starting to look upon the more recent hits. We already know that they're doing one of Moana that's going to be coming out in 2026. And now apparently Tangled is going to be added into the mixture as well, which honestly makes me a little bit worried because you know that means eventually down the line, Frozen might be next, which honestly has me a bit scared. And we must go and protect Elsa at all costs from the dangers of the live action remakes. You know, in fact, I would even say right now, I'm honestly surprised that Disney has yet to even announce a live action remake of Frozen. But I don't know, maybe they already have a strategy with it, and maybe they want to prioritize doing Frozen 3 and Frozen 4 first, which, I mean, you know what? Say what you will about Disney's current sequels, like with Moana 2 or Ralph Breaks the Internet or Frozen 2. I would much rather have them do a sequel than to go and make a live action remake. I'm just saying. But with that said, though, like now alluding to that fact, and it seems that now Frozen or that Tangled is now possibly next on the list, which honestly has me a bit concerned, honestly. And I'm just going to go and actually state this right now. As much as I am reluctant to the idea that they would go and make a live action remake of Tangled, the only positive thing that I could say right now about it is that I could see how Disney can go and turn Tangled into a live action remake, or at least the process of it would be a lot smoother than some of the other live action remakes that they have done. And the reason why I say this is that at the very least, when you look at Tangled and the possible idea of how you could go and turn that into a live action remake, they don't have a lot of those elements that were very cringeworthy in many of the recent live action remakes that we have right now. Like, one thing that I will say it will be a positive is that at the very least, we're not going to get those horrific CGI characters onto the film. Like, yes, it is true that they'll have to go and make a CG Maximus and a CG Pascal, but then again, these are characters that don't actually talk. Like, these are not characters that would have like a massive moment in the spotlight where they have to talk and have like a celebrity voice and all that kind of stuff. You know, like these are actually mute characters. And yes, I would argue that technically with Pascal and Maximus, they definitely work better as animated characters, especially with the wide range of facial expressions that they can go and do. That doesn't necessarily translate well into live action. But I will give it this, though. If you are going to go and make a live action CG Maximus and Pascal, it's definitely going to be a lot better than the CG characters that they have done for the Little Mermaid remake or that Beauty and the Beast remake, or what we're going to get with the upcoming Snow White remake. At least they won't look like absolute monstrosities like those ones right there. And maybe the CG itself won't be great, but I mean, it could go in a direction that would be so much worse. And also, I'll even add that when it comes to Tangled in general, the one thing that you really have to go and get right and have it correct no matter what is the casting, specifically for Rapunzel, for Eugene, and for Mother Gothel. Because when you look at Tangled, like a significant factor of what works and what makes it so memorable and a highly beloved Disney film is the personalities. It's the personalities of joining Rapunzel and Eugene on their big adventure to go and make Rapunzel's big dream come true, despite her living conditions have been holding her back all her life, caused by Mother Gothel. And yes, there are many of the other elements that do make it a great feature as well, like the beautiful animation, and of course those unforgettable songs from Alan Menken and Glenn Slater, but that's not the point. But there is no denying that a major part of what makes Tangled work is those personalities. And in terms of casting, if you can get that to work, then that will be a major part in which you can have them carry the whole picture. And if you're able to go and nail the actors, like if you actually do great in terms of the casting of Rapunzel, Eugene, and Mother Gothel, then you actually got a solid movie right there. Make sure they can sing well, make sure that they can do justice to the songs, and make sure that they can portray the personalities very well. If you're able to go and do that, supply great acting, supply nice humor, have a good dynamic with all the different characters, then you could be able to actually make this Tangled remake actually work out. Now, again, I just want to go and clarify this. This is not me trying to defend this project. I'm not saying that this is going to work. I am not saying that I am excited for this whatsoever. What I am saying is that this is a project that Disney is less likely to screw up compared to all the other movies that they could go and possibly remake or have already remade in the first place. I'm not saying it's completely foolproof, but it is a lot more foolproof than some of the other possible remakes that they could do. That if they're able to get some of those elements correct, especially in terms of the casting, then things might actually go okay with this remake itself. But then again, there is also that chance that maybe they will screw up. Maybe they got the wrong actors in this. Maybe their acting won't be great, or that the songs won't stand out as well as they do in the original animated film, and it could still turn out to be a massive disaster. There is that chance, and I know there is that possibility, but still, though, just honestly, I don't necessarily have a whole lot that I could say about this. But honestly, the best way that I could describe it is that I just feel extremely reluctant on the fact that they are doing this. I think it really is just the matter of the principle that they're remaking they're remaking Tangled, and that, they're doing more and more and more of these live action remakes where it feels like it just never ends, especially from Disney. It's not fun to listen to, especially if you're a movie fan and if you're an animation fan. It's just groaning and eye rolling every time you hear more and more of these remakes that are happening. But to its credit, to give it the benefit of the doubt, this does seem like a project that it could maybe work if they could get some of those elements to actually succeed. I'm not saying that this is going to be good, but there is that possibility that this project can be good as long as they do get the correct casting in this. So overall, who knows if this is going to happen? I mean, there is also that possible chance that maybe this won't go far and this project could ultimately get canceled. But still, though, I think it is safe to say that after everything and after all these remakes we've been getting again and again and again, I'm not excited for the idea of a Tangled reboot. Even if they would bring in Michael Gracie to go and direct the film, I'm sorry, I'm just not really that hyped up for it. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the possibility of a Tangled live action remake? Do you guys think this could work? Are you guys actually optimistic of the idea of a Tangled live action remake? Or are you pretty much fed up with these live action remakes and you're not excited to hear that this is going to be included as well? Let me know what you all think. All right, so let's see here. I'm not gonna lie. I am a little curious as to how this could turn out if it happens. I love The Greatest Showman, and Better Man was really, from what I heard, was really good from what I've heard. So maybe they could pull something off. That is, if Disney lets him cook. But overall, I wouldn't spell doom and gloom just yet, because this isn't the first time a remake was announced by Disney only to be scrapped, such as Bambi and Sword in the Stone. It really depends on how these next films perform in the end. We'll just have to wait and see. Oh boy, if it depends on the next movies, yeah, I don't know, honestly. In that regards, if we're gonna depend on like, well, let's wait and see on how things go with Snow White and Lilo and Stitch. Yeah, those hopes are, yeah, honestly, if you're gonna be judging based on like what's gonna be coming up with those, yeah, it's not gonna give you, I'm just gonna say now, it might not give you a positive sign as to how things are going to be with Tangled. Okay, let's see here. I absolutely love Tangled and the Tangled series, and I am honestly not happy with this, and I'm not excited for this. We really are at the point where now they're remaking their recent films because much like How to Train Your Dragon, it's not even 20 years old, and I've honestly just been burned out by these remakes. Although, in terms of casting, I could see Kathryn Hahn as Mother Gothel, given her past casting as Agatha. See, there could already be an idea right there. And I mean, honestly, I could see, same here. I could see Kathryn Hahn as Mother Gothel. Not only has she proven with Agatha that she can have the right personality to portray a villain like Mother Gothel, but she's also got the singing chops as well. Agatha all along has already proven with their musical numbers that she could be a great singer. So in that regards, that's already one idea right there that could give at least some promise to this Tangled remake. Let's see what else we have here. Disney was running out of popular 20-year-old and older movies and decided to remake the 2010/early 2010 movies. It should have been easy to just remake The Black Cauldron, Atlantis, and Treasure Planet, but the key word here is popular. Those are cult movies, not hits that everyone knows. Honestly, I'm worried about who will play the main lead in Tangled. I remember people having a fit over a fan casting of Avantika as Rapunzel. A fan cast. I'm so sick of people attacking these actresses. Honestly, I'm not really that familiar with Avantika, so I don't know. I'm not sure. For a second, I was reading, I wasn't fully reading, and I saw a little bit. It was like, did that say Awkwafina? Like, bring in Awkwafina as Rapunzel? Like, apparently playing as Scuttle is not enough. Let's go and have Awkwafina play as Rapunzel and just see what happens. Really true. If you don't care about how this movie is going to be, if you really want to unleash chaos, go ahead and bring in Awkwafina. Oh boy. Yeah, I know. Trust me. I know that Awkwafina is not the same race as Rapunzel, but that is kind of the point. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. Awkwafina is a very attractive woman. And I mean, if she would go and play as Rapunzel, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily complain all that much. Okay, anyways, though, let's see what we got here. I will be completely honest. I never really cared or have any self-interest in the live-action remakes of Disney. I can imagine when the movie is developed, there won't be any kinds of controversies among the story and the crew in casting. Also, which actor do you think is the right one for this film if you were the producer of the movie to cast? That is honestly a good question. And I never really thought of that, honestly. The only good one that has been brought up is actually Kathryn Hahn as Mother Gothel. But in terms of who would play as Eugene or as Rapunzel, that I'm honestly not that sure. Or I might have an idea, and hear me out on this. And I mean, maybe this could be a dumb one, but maybe I could see this working. How about having Chloe Grace Moretz as Rapunzel? I think she could actually be one who can do very well. Like, she's got a bit of the look that is a bit like Rapunzel, but on top of that, like, she does have, like, she could really express a strong personality that I think could actually fit with Rapunzel. Again, I could be wrong, but I could actually see that working. I don't know. Like, maybe you can have another one, but like, this is just one like that I just thought of on top of my head. Let's see what other comments do we have here. Let's see. I already read this one. Okay. Honestly, the more I keep hearing about this, I can only hope this was a mistake and that they're saying is a Broadway remake. That is my only wish that I'd be down for. But since this is a movie, this is getting ridiculous, and it's not even old. I love Tangled, and I even say that this is my definitive favorite for years. The movie is amazing. The short is amazing. The series, well, you reviewed it. May I say more? As it to say, they better not screw this up. Maybe a chance to have the series characters in it. There's an idea. That could be an interesting way to give it a bit of a twist. Like, if you could actually find a way to include characters like Cassandra or Varian, then maybe you can have a way to go and actually update this in a way that is different from the animated movie. So there is an idea right there. And not to mention that, yeah, that's honestly another thing that I am surprised that Disney has yet to go and try out. I feel like Tangled would actually be a great movie that they could turn into one of their next Broadway shows. I mean, I am already aware that they technically have already done a musical in the Disney Cruise, kind of like what they've recently done with Moana. But honestly, I could, like, that is one idea that I would honestly be so down for. I could totally imagine Disney actually making a Broadway production of Tangled. I think that right there has a lot of great potential. Let's see. I think I'll read one more comment and then we're going to move on to the next story. So let's see here. First off, I want to apologize for my last comment on the live-action remakes to Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, plus most of them like The Jungle Book, Pete's Dragon, Cinderella, and Christopher Robin. Now, second, I'm probably alone on this question, but why can't they make Broadway productions of the recent Disney animated films and call it a day, since we need to keep an eye on this project if it comes out in theaters or Disney+. That's exactly what I've been talking about. Like, honestly, instead of actually turning them into live action remakes, turn them into Broadway productions, turn them into stage musicals. That would actually work out much, much better. And not to mention that Disney has found some amazing success with it. I mean, The Lion King alone is already enough to say that Disney can turn their animated films into Broadway musicals and find tremendous success out of it. So I'm just saying, like, no to the Tangled live action remake, and yes to the Tangled Broadway show.